Hello. Hey. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Well, we're having a really, really insightful morning today. I've learned that because I just turned 35, so I thought I graduated into Gen X, but I'm happy to know that I can stay in my same generation. That's great. And then we've been talking about Wendy Clark, that was amazing. We've been talking about creative, and now Chris was talking about mobile. So I'm going to bring all that together, and we're going to talk about creating effective mobile advertising. But where is this coming from? So as many of you will know, last year we used neuroscience metrics and biometrics, among other tools, to understand how to develop effective cross-platform campaigns. And we learned that advertising across platform is good, is more effective than advertising in one single platform. But we also learned that for that to be true, the message needs to be consistent across the platforms. And then we saw that there's a huge opportunity to improve effectiveness if we take the execution and customize this to each specific platform. So then the obvious follow-up question would be, that's great, but now how do I do that? So this year we're focusing on mobile. And it's obvious because we see a huge opportunity in the mobile device. There's a large ad spend, we check it all the time, and many of us use it to make purchases. So that's a good opportunity. But we saw there's a bigger opportunity because we're not doing things the optimal way. We saw that 62% of campaigns are not using mobile the perfect way. And we see that reflected in that huge amount of ad blockers on mobile. That's not only huge, but it's growing. It's been growing 50% just in the past year. So that's a big threat. That's an existential threat to the digital advertising industry. So what is it that we're doing wrong? So we saw last year that it's very common to develop your TV creative, your execution for TV, and it works fantastic, and you test it, you do your copy testing, it's great, and then now that's done, you just take the same execution and just put it everywhere. And then we saw that that's not the best way to do it. So this might look familiar to some of you. We're looking here at some eye tracking data, so where people are looking at on this TV ad that's working perfectly on TV. So you see this message, people look at the message, they read it, the brand is on the screen, people focus on the brand. But then if we take that same execution, change nothing, and put it on mobile, then you see that you're losing a lot of focus, you're not able to read the message, you're probably not even recognizing the brand when it appears on the car. And then we also saw that the emotional intensity was like 50% lower. And there are things that are obvious that we can modify, like make the text larger so people can read it, right? Make the brand a little larger. But there are many things that are not that obvious. So we've seen recently that just customized ads for mobile are far more effective than those repurposed by 53% higher viewability, 39% higher usability metrics, and 49% higher engagement. But yet again, how do we do that? How do we customize? How do we do it better? So we did a literature review. We looked at a lot of different things, and then we came up with 6 different areas of focus. There are these ones. So what's the ad length? Does it have to be shorter for mobile than, let's say, for TV? Does it have to be longer? What's happening there? Obviously, the screen is a lot smaller. Obviously, we have to make things readable. But we also experience it on a vertical form very often. So even your TV ad on 16:9, it's going to be tiny. How do we take that into account? And well, you know that we don't have the audio on all the time, or maybe we're listening to the radio, and we're not listening to the ad that's in the middle of an article. So how do we leverage that? And then normally we're using our cell phones and doing 1,000 other things. So that's something to be taken into account. But then there are the bigger opportunities. That is, you see an execution, and you can act on that execution immediately. You can like it, you can share it with your friends and your peers, you can download the app, you can even go and make a purchase. And then my favorite thing that Wendy Clark was talking about it this morning, we know who the user is, where the user is. We can even know the personality traits. We have so much data. We know the consumer behavior. How do we take all that data and use it to develop effective creative? So then we were like, where do we find these answers? Where are they? So we went to the creative experts. We went to the top creative experts that work on mobile for the main agencies, for the main creative agencies. And we did online surveys, and then we followed up with in-depth interviews of senior folks. And this is what they said. They said short a lot. They said story. They said social media. They said visual. They said direct. They said user experience. They said call to action. But now let's look at it, like one area at a time. So when we asked about the ad length, do we need to change the ad length compared to TV? 92% said yes. They said we need to think outside of this 30 seconds, 60 seconds. We're not confined to that anymore. We can do it as long or as short as it's needed, because quality ideas will get viewed. 30s and 60s are outdated. It's not about the time, it's about the quality. But then out of this 92%, we thought, who actually thinks it has to be shorter? Who thinks that it doesn't really matter, that it depends on the message and the story? Actually, 59% said the shorter is better, that it has to be under 15 seconds and the message needs to be straightforward. And 33% said that it depends, that if you have good content, people are going to stay and watch it. So now I'm going to show an example of a short ad that's engaging, that's communicating the message in just 6 seconds. Bang, 6 seconds. If you have your audio on, it's absolutely engaging if you know Rudimental. If you don't have your audio on, his face is there, so you know who he is. And it's out on October 2nd. Bang, 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 pff, effective. You have it all in 6 seconds. So that can work. Sometimes you need longer, and then you can use longer. Then we asked them, do we need to adapt to the mobile screen? So this is interesting. 67% said yes, which means 33% said no. So 33% think that if you have a creative that's like good enough, that's like really good, it's going to work everywhere, which is absolutely fair, and that might be the goal, to do something that works everywhere. But 67% still said yes, that it has to be more simple, larger images and text, obviously make it readable. But then this is interesting. You have to create with the vertical user experience in mind. You have to shoot with the vertical user experience in mind, because unless you're watching a show or watching like YouTube videos, the experience is normally vertical. And obviously it needs to be readable, but it needs to be tested also on mobile, and it needs to be presented on mobile to make sure that it works. And again, make sure that the vertical experience is as good as the horizontal experience. A 16:9 might not be the perfect way to go on mobile. So look at this example. This example is amazing, from TBWA for Gatorade. So this is targeting Serena Williams fans on Snapchat. So this is a game, so it's interactive. You are engaged with the brand. As you can see, it's a vertical experience. It's a fun game to play. Actually, in this example, I'm the one playing, and I had a great time. And see, and I win, and Serena Williams super happy. And now we go to London. So now let's move on to the audio situation. We often don't have the audio. What do the experts think about it? Well, 90% said that we need to take that into account and create for sound off, subtitles and captions, easy to understand from visuals. But then they also said things like, music tells people how to feel. So we're actually losing a lot of effectiveness by losing that audio experience. So then they were saying you need to establish relevance and do something in the first few seconds so they turn the audio on. And that's very important. Those first few seconds are really, really important in mobile. And why is that? That's also because we're doing a bunch of other things while we're using the mobile. We're totally multitasking. And 88% of the experts think that this is something that we need to take into account by immediately engaging the user. So if you have an asset, a celebrity, a product, a punchline, just put it in those first 1-2 seconds. I heard people talking about the 3-second rule. I think even 3 seconds might be too late. You already scroll through. And then also adapt to the time of the day, because it's not the same experience in the morning commute than when you're at night on your couch watching TV and chatting on WhatsApp. So if you want the user to walk away with a message, you have to throw it up front. So now I'm going to show this one example in which the asset, the celebrity, is on the first few seconds, so likely that could make you stop scrolling and turn the audio on.
Heineken Light, the best light beer you've ever tasted, or I'll give you your money back. Not me, I won't. Someone will give you your money, someone at Heineken, I'm guessing. Is it?
So this would make me stop and activate the audio, and I'll probably like it, because I love Neil Patrick Harris. So how do we leverage that opportunity of having the user like it, having the user share your ad, make it go viral, and even make a purchase? So obviously, logistically and technically, there has to be an option. You have to design it for social, so people can clearly go to a website or do something. But something that they mentioned that's really important is to plan ahead, to design for each part of the funnel, be clear in what you want the user to do, and then communicate that to the user with a clear call to action. But this is a red flag here. When you're sharing content in your social media, you are showing what you want people to think of you. So the user is very picky with what they're going to share. So when you're developing your creative, you need to think about the user's social credibility. You need to do something that people will want to share. And now my favorite one, what do we do with all that data that we can collect on the mobile device? So 74% of the experts thought that it's something we need to leverage, which means the 26th thing of the mobile screen just as another screen to display your creative. But what did they talk about when we were talking about using the data? And Wendy was talking this morning, that was brilliant, but we had all this data, but we didn't know what to do with it. So this is some of the things we heard from the experts: track, test, and target. So say you can track performance of your creative, you can track consumer behavior, and that's going to give you insights to inform your next creative. You can use it to test your concepts, to test your copy, and see which ones are performing well. And then, very importantly, to target by location, to target by time of the day. You can target by demographics, by interest, even by personality types. And you can customize the message to make it more effective if you customize the message to the time of the day, to the location, and to the specific person. But again, there's a red flag on this. You should make sure that you're not mismanaging the user's information. You don't want to be that creepy brand. You don't want to cross that red line. So to talk more about engagement on mobile and use of data, we're going to have an amazing panel of experts this afternoon. And it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that with Nick Moore, Nick Lowe, and Sarah Watson. So I'll hope to see you all there this afternoon. So just wrapping up, all the things we learned from the experts: less is more, adapt to the screen and to the vertical experience, generate thumb-stopping content in the first 2 seconds, develop for sound off, but try to make them turn the audio on, plan ahead and communicate with a clear call to action, and then use data to track, to test, and to target. And then we keep having questions and try to bring the answers to the industry. So now we want to learn what's the most effective way to deliver your message, what's the most effective format. So we're currently conducting an original experiment using tapping behavior, self-report, eye tracking, biometrics, EEG, facial coding, and then we will be bringing you the answers in June at Audience Measurement 2017. And I hope to see you there. Thank you very much. And now we can all go have a coffee, and then we'll have the concurrent sessions that you have on your program.